call to order the May 1st, 2024 meeting of the Municipal Building Commission at 5:30 PM. And for the record, we have Terry, Ed, Jackie, Jerry, Jay, Andrew, and myself. That gives us 7 out of 9, so we have a quorum. And note that the water superintendent is here with us. Apparently, we have no minutes to approve.
Not at this time.
The budget interfered with that?
Yeah.
We'll give you a pass on that one, Mason. All right. Well, Courtney, looks like you are it tonight. So let's start with the Pawtucket Water Interconnect.
Sure. Foundation pouring's begun. They'll finish up the foundation in May. I know there was a question on delivery of the station, and we're looking at late June or early July. We're still on schedule to be online and start up in August. The next meeting, you're going to see a couple change orders. There's one that's about $4,100, and that's going to be for disinfection of the Pawtucket side of the main. Their procedure is a little bit different than standard and certainly a lot different from ours. So there was some extra work and a sub called for. You will also be seeing a decent credit change order at the next meeting in the tune of over $70,000 related to relocation of the gas main. So there is a huge credit coming as well.
So are we not relocating it? Is that why, or?
They have relocated it. It's related to permitting.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a nice windfall.
Mason, is there a change order log that's being kept for this project?
We have our change orders. We're happy to kind of give a breakdown on where we're at the next meeting with these pending change orders, if that's
Yeah, I
helpful.
just think we usually have a log.
Yeah.
And so I think we ought to keep a log.
Okay. Yeah, we could absolutely just, present it in a spreadsheet format for the commission,
Okay.
if that'd be helpful.
Good,
Sure.
good. So all good news on that project?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell us about Wading River.
Okay, Wading River, I'll start with the quicker. Permanent PFAS is still in design. Still thinking late '27. We expect 30% plans actually over the next couple days, possibly before the end of the week. And then we'll sit and bring the consultant in and go over what they have planned so far for the design.
Has the bond issue passed?
It should be voted, Mason, I think next week.
I don't think it was voted last week. I'll get back to you. It might have been in the certificate.
Well, the reason I ask is that we need to go out and hire an OPM, right?
Correct.
And the money comes from that bond issue,
Correct.
right?
For contract administration, correct.
Yeah. So therefore, we need to
Right, that's going to be in the works. this
start the
summer.
process of advertising for an OPM, but we can't.
Right.
I mean, I suppose we could anticipate the council was going to pass this, but he's been kind of busy lately.
I could tell.
So we'll give you another pass on that.
That's two. That's two.
But maybe though, if Brooke can find something that we did previously for an OPM, maybe we could at least start looking at what the document might look like.
Yeah, and Courtney and I had looked a couple months ago at some of our historical OPM documents. I don't think in the past we had something for a water facility like this, so it's sort of a little bit of a unique case for us at this point. But I think using Tina and Howard as well, because they're going to be the engineer on record for this project. I think it'll be helpful to kind of run things by them as well.
Right.
We'll
As
get
to
there.
what the qualifications were for
Right.
an OPM.
Right.
Okay. Sure.
Right, because I think the last plant-related one we have is probably easily 20 years. So,
And some of the rules and regulations around like when you're required to have those has changed, right, over the years. So at that time, that might not have even been a requirement, as well as the requirements are triggered at certain dollar thresholds, which historically, $1.5 million is very different today than it was 40 years ago. So
Yes. I was telling them I was in Home Depot last night looking at appliances, and I was absolutely sticker shocked by the cost of these things.
Right.
Absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you need to tell us?
Sure, temporary PFAS, we're still on schedule. There is a pay app this meeting. The bulk of it is mobilization, tree clearing, erosion control, excavation of the site, the water lines and the building footing is the bulk of it.
Is that application number 1 from Bishko Building Systems?
From Bisco, yes.
And is that for, looks like there's a period there where there might be a comma. It's $333,070?
Yep, correct. And then everyone has a copy of that in their packet.
So keep going, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's quite all right. In May, they're going to be working on rebar and the flooring. The building itself, the steel building, will be delivered in May. They'll start working on putting the building up in June. Excuse me. July through September, we'll be getting delivery of the pump skid. They'll be working on the HVAC and electrical, and then out to September, we expect delivery of the vessels for the actual PFAS removal, the whole point of the project. And then we're on schedule for an October startup.
More good news.
More good news, because that was the one that we were struggling with, the VFD, and it was looking like January, so 3 months ahead of where we thought a few weeks ago.
So is the building a metal building that comes in pieces and they erect it on site, or is it a prefab?
They piece it on site.
Okay.
And to be clear, the vessels, that was based on the change order we approved last
Yes.
month, right? So they've shifted from the 10 down to the 7.
From the 7 up
From
to
the
the
7
10.
up to the 10, correct.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they're bigger.
And they're bigger. And more usable for the permanent plant eventually when it's time to move them.
Okay. Good. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Good, good. So I guess we look forward to choosing the OPM whenever we're able to do that. Keep giving us good news on these projects. Yep. And I think, do you have any questions? So then we can approve, well, let me just tell you that you'll see a bill here for the Council on Aging feasibility study from January. It kind of slipped through the cracks that we should have paid, and so we need to, that's in order to approve, right, Mason?
Yeah, and to clarify too, they had submitted it in advance of them actually giving the final report. So we obviously held off payment until we had, the final reports in, had been accepted by the commission and basically delivered to the city. So, the date on the invoice is realistically like 6 weeks in advance of when everything was truly finalized. So that's why it's being.
Yeah, when the invoice was actually due, and that's why it kind of slipped through the cracks,
Right.
because we had such a gap between
Right.
billing for the work and getting the work.
Correct.
So don't want to imply that his office made a mistake.
But at the same
Didn't have
time,
meetings back then.
Not at all.
but at the same time, that project is, at this point, it's clearly, to everyone's satisfaction, closed out. The final report's been delivered. This is the final invoice. This officially closes out the project and, moves us forward off that.
So we have 2 bills to approve. Is there a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. All right, so with regard to the public safety feasibility study, I corresponded with KBA last week, and then Brooke confirmed it with them yesterday. They're ready to file the final report, but the biggest thing they need to finalize it is the numbers from their estimator. And obviously that's extremely important to us to know what the numbers are. The report is valuable in and of itself, but knowing what the cost is a
Yeah.
big portion. So I would expect that it's going to be probably at our next month's meeting when they will be able to present that final report.
Yeah, so when we last spoke to them, they were hoping to get it for this month. Unfortunately, like you said, we just didn't have some of those updates from the last time they came and presented before us.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only outstanding item. They did at one point meet with, the fire chief to go over, some of the drive time analysis that they did and get into a little bit further detail on that. The chief confirmed it, it wasn't necessarily a NFPA response time analysis. It was more of a drive time analysis. So there's other pieces, outside of this study that the city will have to look at in the future. But some of the findings and some of the decisions that came out of the last NBC presentation from them, I believe in talking to the chief, he thought they were pretty valuable. So I think we'll see a helpful and informative final report. So hopefully at that first week in June.
Okay, so just to remind you, the school building committee is May 15th this month. Our next meeting is June 5th, unless there's late breaking news on some front. And so I think that in 11 minutes, excuse me, we've done all our business unless anybody else has anything to say. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Excuse me, at 5:41. 5:42 now, it
That was a
says.
big sigh.